The one type of hobby and passion I feel that has benefited the most from the internet is probably artistry. Creating art is probably the oldest form of human expression, as even back in the caveman days where Grug was drawing on cave walls with the blood of his enemies, centuries, millennia has passed, and we're still creating art. And now with computers, the art doesn't even have to be physical anymore. Now of course the label of artistry is very broad, and can refer to a lot of things these days, but I'm sticking to the basics and referring to mostly drawing pictures and creating crafts. Whether you want to express yourself or show your love for something, drawing art is always one of the first things people will jump to. Sharing art was one of the first things people did on the internet. Posting it on different websites or creating their own websites, art has always been a part of the internet. And nowadays, people have found more ways to get more eyes on their artwork and potentially even make some money off their hobby in this dire economy. A lot of online artists have hopped from website to website trying to find the best one to share their art with the world. There was Tumblr, which was the best for a while, and then they ruined that. Then they jumped ship to Twitter, where they probably spend more time arguing about the art than creating it, so it seems like we haven't got that perfect artist website yet. But hey, when all else fails, we can always go back to tradition. That tradition being Deviantart. Every artist has to start somewhere, and for a lot, that was probably on Deviantart. Deviantart was one of the most popular art sites of the 2000s. If you were born in the 2000s and loved drawing, you had a Deviantart. It was law. It was the perfect place for an artist to get a following online, and to communicate with your fans, before social media really took off. There's probably a bunch of famous and infamous artists who got their start there. It was a net positive for the longest time, but things would quickly change that. Over time, as the website grew and grew, it became, well, known for something else entirely. The website got big enough that it started attracting artists of all kinds. This would lead to an increase in weird, kinky, and hyper-specific art, which they would then find others with the same interests, and then they would make communities, and then developing teens overrun with hormones would see it, and then get into it, and over the years, a lot of interesting cases were spawned in the midst of this shift, and entire YouTube channels and series were made to document some of these cases. And now is when I strike when the iron is ice cold. Get your pumps ready, we're going to dive into Like I said, there used to be a ton of YouTube channels and videos that were made to just look at the weirdness of DeviantArt users, and you don't really see them that much anymore. Maybe it's because DeviantArt fell out of public consciousness, or it became an oversaturated market, or maybe it was just seen as bullying. You don't have to worry about that. I'm the nicest guy you'll ever meet. So this is really a dead genre I could take full advantage of, and I'm going to be pointing out some of the most interesting ones in my opinion. Now, here's a classic question for you. Do you like Sonic the Hedgehog? Blah blah, Sonic the Hedgehog's fanbase is full of weird people and autists. We all get the picture. But I think DeviantArt is where this stereotype truly blossomed. This is where it probably started. All these teenage kids getting into fandoms and communities. And when that involved Sonic the Hedgehog, they all made their Sonic OCs, of all shapes and sizes. There were so many of these damn things on the site, people made a game based on it. Yeah, you probably know it, the Hedgehog game. Where you would type your name into Google Images and see what you would look like in hedgehog form, because every name was attached to some type of hedgehog. Except for me, apparently. I'm not getting any results here. Don't worry, I can fix that. Oh, commissioned artist! Much he needs his autism appeased. There we go. Isn't he lovely? You can find Sonic fan accounts and communities all over DeviantArt, and a lot of them were, children. And well, what can you really say about a bunch of kids who probably just started drawing and are expressing liking a video game? Not really much to talk about. There is one, however, that I think makes for a very interesting case. That case is the case of Chasethehedgehog. Chase used DeviantArt to show off his fan art for Sonic the Hedgehog, and he has a lot of skill for someone his age. Just take a look at some of his work. Wow, he's still probably a better artist than me. Yeah, Chase's art is not very good. Very MS Paint core. This pic This is apparently supposed to be Silver the Hedgehog, and this is the timeline where Silver's mom got together with a Smurf. And this is Supersonic Level 4. Oh, so these must be the legendary hentai quills Mark the Plumber told us about.
Fucking hentai.
But Chase is a kid, so it's excusable, which is what I would be saying if not for the fact that this 13-year-old claimed to be 18 when he very clearly was not. The bravado on this kid is something to be admired. In all of my years on the internet, I've never seen a teenager be so adamant on their art. He'll never have self-esteem issues, that's for sure. He even uploaded them to his YouTube channel, which is surprisingly still up to this day, and with only one video. I didn't add this music, by the way. This is all unedited. But for what he saw as Picasso, it wasn't the same for everyone else. A lot of people on Deviantart saw it for what it was, and that just wasn't exclusive to Deviantart either, because once the guys over on 4chan thought about this, they saw the opportunity to mess with this kid, and took it. Since he had a massive ego, it was very easy to set Chase off, and you could find him getting into arguments with his detractors all the time. They would draw fan art of his fan art, some even going out of their way to surpass his art in every which way, of his OC dying in gruesome ways, plenty of stuff being made. Now, I'm not gonna sugarcoat what this is. This is just flat out some grown adults bullying some 13-year-old for being cringe. This was the late 2000s, and the whole thing with cyberbullying and targeted harassment wasn't as widely known as it is now. Is it wrong for a bunch of grown adults to draw pictures of a teenager Sonic OC all bloody and beat up? Oh yeah, for sure. But at the same time, Chase was also in desperate need of a reality check because all of his detractors weren't trolls, as he actually tried to post his MS Paint art in other places. He tried posting his art to a website called Concept Art, which is an actual professional artistry website. You post here to get actual critiques and advice from supposed professionals in the field. And I don't think Chase truly grasped that, as when he posted here, expecting to get nothing but praise for his Da Vinci's, he of course got the opposite, people trying to give him actual advice. Some just thought he was a troll, and Chase wasn't having it. This one quote by this one user best describes the entire situation. "The best advice I can give you right now is to kill your ego. That was one of the first things I read coming here, and it's true. Ego and attachment will be the biggest hurdles to improvement. Keep in mind concept art is different than Deviantart." After enough shit-flinging, the thread got closed, he made another one, he made one last post calling them all haters and trolls, and that was the end of Chase's concept arc. Oh, and you may notice that I've been using some screen caps from an account called Twisted Fiend. That's actually just Chase on a different account. It was very easy to tell it was just Chase again. The art styles were pretty much the exact same, and he denied it at every possible opportunity, even after falling for the oldest trick of the book. He would then do this again and hopped onto a different account and fell for the exact same trick again. Surprisingly, he ended up getting a girlfriend in the midst of all this. God, DeviantArt girlfriends, has that ever worked out? She was 14, and remember, Chase was claiming to be 18. Thank God he was lying about that, because if that were true, then She would chip in and fight the trolls too, and in retaliation, they did the exact same things to her that they did to him. He would continue to combat against the trolls, and after a few years of this, it all just petered out. It seems everyone got bored of Chase's shtick, and Chase would fade into DeviantArt obscurity. Chase is a prime example of the old and forgotten rule of the internet. Don't feed the trolls, or else it'll be nothing but annoyance and misery for you, and hours of entertainment for someone else. Some believe this entire time, Chase was a troll himself, playing some 4D chess and tricking others into messing with him for art he made awful on purpose, just so he himself could have some entertainment. Whether he was or not, it doesn't matter now, as he's now a full-grown adult, living his life and probably never thinking about his old DeviantArt days. Or maybe he could be dead in a ditch somewhere in Detroit, who knows. Godspeed, Chase. Of course, when it comes to DeviantArt, you're never going to escape all the weird kink content on the site. You could click on a random profile and find some sort of weird stuff that gives the person behind it their jollies. You'll always find the usual suspects, or you'll find, something more specific to their taste.
Oh, hey there, little kid. You wanna come right on the horsey's back? I just wanna nibble on your face a little bit. Just come closer. Come closer to Mr. Horsey. I just want to eat your flesh a little bit. Don't you want to ride the pony, little boy?
There's a plate to pick over here, but I don't feel like frying my brain that much for this section. That's for later. But then you get into more abstract stuff. The kind of stuff only one person on this planet would ever be into. One of these I think that is worth talking about is one that had quite a bit of infamy a couple of years ago, and it's an account named MerLogic1. MerLogic is not an artist himself, per se, so he's the odd one out of this video. Instead, MerLogic was a commissioner. Instead of drawing the art himself, he would pay artists to draw the art for him. And the art he would commission became notorious for being incredibly specific. Every time without fail, Mer would commission an artist to draw rich cartoon women buying Wonder Bread. You can't get any more specific than that. It could be any sort of rich woman, but it has to be specifically Wonder Bread every time. This was the guy's entire shtick. If he commissioned you, you will be drawing this. Well, this or rich women deforesting entire ecosystems. Either it's a kink or it's a very dedicated bit. When people found out about this, it sort of became a meme of sorts. It was just so specific and weird, people couldn't not meme about it. But other than that, is that all there is to this guy? Just commissioning people to draw one or two types of art ad nauseum? Well, there might be more to this than meets the eye here. Now, some of this info may be true, some of it may be complete bullshit. Take anything you see here with a grain of salt, because I've tried my best to piece it all together. In other words, don't take much of this seriously. Apparently, the rich white woman buying Wonder Bread has a deeper meaning than just being a weird kink thing. According to him, it's supposed to be a parallel of negative stereotypes that are only shown one way in media, and he wanted to create his own version of those stereotypes, a rich white woman destroying forests and buying Wonder Bread because they would never actually exist in the real world. Yeah. And every explanation the guy has given, I don't think he's ever actually answered the question, why specifically Wonder Bread of all things? Depending on where you look, you can find supposed anecdotals people have had with this guy. And like I said, take them with a grain of salt. I just don't know if they're true or not. Now, of course, when commissioning an artist, they're going to request what they're drawing and why, and this guy just has to sit there and explain the whole thing for them to get it. And some of them just didn't. One of the artists who didn't get it was an artist who will forever live in infamy. And even mentioning his name here is controversial. It was Shadman. MerLogic tried to commission Shadman to draw his Wonder Bread art, and Shadman didn't get it and thought it was stupid, so it never went through. For the best, honestly.
Hey, you can't go! Never mind.
The only other thing of note is this story posted on Tumblr about him apparently wanting to commission an artist to draw some Toxic Yuri, Korra, and Asami from Legend of Korra. With Asami owning a sandwich factory and run by slaves, he has apparently spent thousands of dollars on Wonder Bread commissions. And if that's true, where he gets that money from is perhaps the biggest mystery of them all. But honestly, the entire thing is framed as overly dramatic in my eyes. It is Tumblr after all. You mean to tell me the guy who fantasizes about rich white women buying Wonder Bread and destroying forests isn't mentally sound? No! Sometimes it isn't just an artist who can be an interesting case. Commissioners are also able to draw up attention, and this guy was a walking legend around 2017-2018-ish. As you can find all sorts of joke images relating to his hyper-specific commissions if you look around enough. But he got banned on Deviantart, and after Tumblr banned any and all not suitable for work content, all the artists left, and MerLogic had no one to commission anymore, and he faded into obscurity. He can still be found online. He still pops up from time to time, still only really known for his one thing, but you know, he's still out there and he seems to be doing fine. The last thing I want to address is, did we ever get an answer for why specifically Wonder Bread? We sadly have not. The closest we ever got was this, and it doesn't really tell us much of anything. And at this point, I don't think he'll ever tell us. Personally, I'm more of a Captain John's guy. There are some DeviantArt cases which are weird, some cases that are gross and uncomfortable, and then there are some where you don't even know what to make of it. Giving widespread internet access to pretty much everyone has allowed the strangest people to post whatever they like for the entire world to see. And sometimes, stumbling across the stuff some of these people would create is quite the experience. So allow me to introduce you all watching to one of the strangest art galleries on DeviantArt. MollyHaleIsMyFriend. So at a glance, this is How do I even describe this? Molly Hale is My Friend's art gallery consists of photos of real-life places with fictional characters from different cartoons and TV shows edited in. And in these photos, they can be all kinds of things. They can be album covers, or movies, or game shows. Not only that, but sometimes these characters will make stilted comments, and then the same comment is made by another character, and then another one. There's this whole subsection of art where characters will express their love for sitting on the floor of cars. And then again, and again, and again, and again. Repetitive doesn't even begin to describe this art gallery. Molly Crosses the Street Alone, the movie. Molly Crosses the Street Alone, the complete series. Molly Crosses the Street Alone, the Christmas movie. Molly Crosses the Street Alone, the board game. Molly Crosses the Street Alone 3, the movie. Happy Bear Cove After. I Crosses the Street Alone, the complete series. Maggie Crosses the Street Alone, the complete series. Tails Crosses the Street Alone, the complete series. What is going on here? The entire art gallery is this. It's the same stuff over and over and over. The whole thing with characters sitting in the car floor, there's over 140 of these things. Of all these characters just sitting in the car floor? What triggers me the most about this art gallery is a lot of the time the characters aren't even clear PNGs. They're just JPEGs of the characters cropped from the TV show they're from, and it just makes me wanna, it's not worth it. It's not worth it. Some of you are probably weirded out and wondering what exactly is up with this art gallery, and this is when I reveal the creator of this Deviantart page. It's not some teenager, but it is instead a grown man named Eric. Eric goes by the name Tasman. He is a 43-year-old man as of the making of this video, and if it wasn't obvious, Eric is far from neurotypical. He is absolutely autistic, but he's definitely more so on the low-functioning side of things. And yeah, it's controversial to call it that, but come on, what else do you call this? Eric has been making this art for years and years, over 5,000 pieces, and it's probably the most consistent art gallery I've ever seen. He has barely changed anything about his art, because, well, it's for him and him alone. Oh, did I forget to mention, he's also made song parodies involving his hyperfixations?
Chasing from the kid when he stands at his school. He stands by his desk in school each day. He plays with the blocks and other toys. He plays with white bags and goes out to the playground. Yes, he stands at his desk.
You know, I'm starting to get a sense of deja vu here. He even has his own website where, this is the most 2000s looking website I've ever seen. It's just more nostalgia for old TV shows and game shows. There's a lot of links here, and a lot of them are also broken. This one leads to a fake game show called The Wheel of Losers, which seems to be a hodgepodge of Eric's hyperfixations, and it also involves the electric chair and Chinese water torture. Okay, moving on. There's also various links to Tickle Me dolls of the various girl characters he's posted about. Oh, I don't think I want to browse this site anymore. Learning this stuff was made by a man in his 40s instead of like a teenager might change the tone of things a bit. Especially since Eric has this fixation on little girls from old cartoons. Molly Hale in his name is the name of a girl from one of the Pokemon movies, and he especially likes to put this one girl named Penny from an obscure cartoon called Sylvania Families and everything. Every little girl is a kind of cheese. What the fuck did he mean by this? It would not take long before someone will question, why is this grown man in his 40s making all this content around cartoon little girls? Eric making all of this hyper-autistic art would attract a lot of trolls and detractors who would very much accuse Eric of getting his jollies off of making these. Eric would get into fights with these people all the time. He would have constant meltdowns, repeating the same phrases over and over and over again, telling the trolls to stop. And you're probably asking me, so what's the truth on the matter? Honestly, I don't know. When you look at it from a glance, it does seem very creepy a grown man is making content with a fixation on cartoon little girls. But when you look at the full picture, I don't know. I'm no mental health expert at all, but Eric's mind seems to be stuck on an endless loop. There are many ways one could look at it, but Eric is always fixated on nostalgia. All the cartoons and games he posts about, the way he makes 1,000 variations of the same thing over and over and over again, always talking about how malls will never die out, and sitting on the floor of a car, stuff he likely did as a kid. It feels like after the year 2004, this man's brain just stopped acquiring new information. The most sound theory that I've heard is that Eric's parents, with a low-functioning autistic kid growing up in the 80s and 90s, saw this kind of stuff made him happy and sort of let him wallow in his hyperfixations without any kind of supervision, and thus they took over his life. Watching the same shows over and over again, fantasizing about going to Chuck E. Cheese or the mall, he can only really think about and create content involving stuff from his childhood. And now, this is it. This is all he has. That also includes those little girl characters from those cartoons. He'll probably never move past them. Although he does seem to have this fixation on the cartoon girls making chocolate pears and trains and used to write fanfics on it. Okay, yeah, that's a little concerning. So is Eric dangerous? Honestly, I don't think so. Knocking on wood! From the looks of his actual life, it seems he's going to be dependent on his family for the rest of his days. He's expressed disappointment with not being able to do grown-up things and being stuck at home, but he does actually seem to love his family. He's talking about how he wants to make his late grandma proud and cook. The only person he seems to dislike is his sister, who he's gone on record to complain about and how happy he was when she finally moved out. I legit kind of feel bad for the guy in a way, knowing he'll be taken care of by someone else and he'll probably be making this content until the day he dies. All in all, this gallery and the situation surrounding it is very strange. But as long as it's pleasing Eric, that's what its entire purpose is. If you look at any of his art without any context whatsoever, it's hilarious. You might have seen his weird pieces floating about somewhere on the web, and now you know where they come from. I am going to drink ocean water! Honestly, just let Eric live in his own world. I think it's what's best for him. Hey, listen. I had a whole section here where I was going to talk about comfort characters. Characters that a lot of neurodivergent people latch onto, where it makes them feel safe and can relate to them. But then I realized, if I did that here, it would look bad for all the sane people, compared to the fucking troglodyte I'm about to talk about. So I scrapped the entire section. Sorry if you were, potentially looking forward to that, but trust me, you'll thank me later. I'm gonna go ahead and cut the shit and get right to the point. In 1989, a man named Matt Groening created The Simpsons. It was super popular, and in that show there was a kid named Bart, who became a cultural icon around the time, and then almost 2 decades later a man would become obsessed with Bart in the worst way possible. You want to be uncomfortable? You want to feel gross on the inside? Well, I can do just that. Let me introduce you to SolidMario and his Deviantart gallery. Are you still here? Have you fled yet? Well, if you haven't, you're well prepared for what's to come. For those who are clinically blind, this entire DeviantArt gallery is dedicated to Bart Simpson, drawn in very questionable ways. Now, in truth, I don't know what made me think it was a good idea to put this deviant artist in this video, because really and truly, I don't know how much of this YouTube is going to let me show. Yeah, Bart's just a cartoon character. The show's drawn him naked plenty of times. But they drew him naked to be funny. It's no secret what the intention of drawing him here actually is. This entire gallery is one of the most uncomfortable I've ever viewed on DeviantArt, and that's saying something. All of these pictures of Bart drawn like this, and it's close enough to the actual show style, but not enough to where there is always something off about it. That and the pure black backgrounds, where it's like a deep dark void, or an empty, gloomy house. This picture I'm cropping out just to not risk it, but here, Bart is sleeping with his pajama pants down. Now, I don't even want to think about the implications here. There also seems to be a lot of art of Fry from Futurama. There's pictures of him tickling Bart. Or this one, where he's giving Bart a tummy rub. There is an awful text interaction between the two, but that's not even the worst part about it.
Look at that facial expression he put on Fry. Just look at it. That's who he wants to be. He wants to be Fry in that picture rubbing on that child. That's what he wants. There's no denying it. Look at that dialogue. Look at it.
We've seen enough. This entire art gallery is just plain uncomfortable. I feel like I've been put on a list somewhere just for looking at it. But despite this, I'm not too disturbed by it, because while looking at the gallery itself is incredibly creepy, I'm about to destroy the mysticism and seriousness of it by showing you the creator, SolidMario himself. This person is the guy behind all the art you've seen. And any sort of fear or uneasiness you felt from looking at that gallery is about to dissipate when you learn about this guy. Reading some of his comments, it makes it more than obvious what the entire gallery is actually about. Hugging and kissing and cuddling, and those 3 words right there. Destroying any doubt you might have had about this guy. Any piece of art involving Bart, you can find SolidMario in the comments gushing over him. Now, when people started seeing this freak always commenting on Bart in all these freaky ways, of course he was going to get called out for it, but every time it happened, he'd always pin the blame on his autism, or blame the Simpsons movie for that scene where Bart skates around nude for destroying his psyche. This man is so weak-willed, he let a scene from a movie turn him into this. And I know some of you are probably wondering, why am I censoring his face? Why am I hiding his identity? Oh, it's not because I care for his well-being. It's because SolidMario has a history of abusing sock puppet accounts and reporting videos with his face in them for privacy concerns. If this video goes down for any reason, then you know who did it. Any kind of backlash this man rightfully got for being a creep, he did not take it well. Someone makes a YouTube video on him. There he is in the comments defending himself and pinning the blame on everyone else. Wait a minute. There seems to be someone replying to him. Holy shit! The Bart Simpson! I did draw you nude a lot, but did I ever touch you? No, you never touched me or hurt me. You were always kind and generous. It's really my fault, though. If I had never shown my doodle, this would have never happened. So are we cool now, Bart? Yeah, we're cool, man. Friends? Yeah, friends. See you for movie night this weekend, Bart. Your place this time. See you then! I feel like I need a shower after reading this. After enough backlash from people like Blackbuster Critic, probably the guy who made him wider known to people, SolidMario was eventually ran off Deviantart, and he left claiming he was a changed man.
I'm sorry I didn't listen to you when you tried to tell me that I was doing something wrong. I'm sorry I argued with you and harassed you on an alternate account. I'm sorry for everything. You've shown me the truth. You've shown me the light. And now I'm just gonna move on and get a new life. A better life. Thank you.
And after all the drama died down, he scattered into the shadows for a couple of years. Nobody heard not a whimper or a peep from him. That is until one day, we're back here again. Someone over on Kiwi Farms made a thread on SolidMario, mostly archiving his antics from around the time, but there wasn't much to go off of since he was missing in action. They all had a quick laugh at him, but the thread very quickly died off with no new info about him to really talk about. His thread was dead for about 2 years, with only sparse comments here and there. That is, until May 2016, when this strange new account named User Anonymous showed up and started replying to every single post made in the thread, talking about how much of a horrible person SolidMario was. I wonder who this could actually be. They lightly tapped the bear, and it did not take long before his true colors came out. His thread started quickly filling up while this walking circus act started flailing around like a drunk chimpanzee. He started demanding the thread be taken down or suffer the consequences.
Consequences will never be the same.
God, I can't get over this. This man is a borderline child predator, and somehow he's being cringe about it. He's making your mom jokes and posting nostalgia critic clips to react to the people making fun of him. Abusing sock puppet accounts is one of SolidMario's favorite activities besides drawing awful pictures of Bart. He would attempt to flood the farm with alts, blissfully unaware they were able to track everything he was registering. He would spend page upon page, months and months, arguing with people in the thread, hoping he could do anything to get them to stop. He bargained. He apologized for his past. He came in the thread with another alt to back himself up, and nothing worked. The thread reached almost 300 pages, and then they started a new one, and then he argued with them in that one. After a while, it just became a slap fight between the farm members and SolidMario playing the role of me, myself, and I. He eventually stopped posting, and the entire thread just petered off afterwards. So it seems SolidMario has slinked right back into the shadows where he belongs. Well, his art gallery was some of the most uncomfortable shit I've ever seen, but the guy was such an embarrassment to watch, it takes all the tension out of everything. All of his content is gone, for the better. But he's probably still somewhere out there, waiting for his next online meltdown to happen, and people will be there to archive it. So, ladies and gentlemen, be aware, and hide your Barts. Well, that was disgusting in more ways than one. I sure hope I didn't ruin some characters for you all. But that was just a small taste of Deviantart's devious demons. I could make many videos on all the strange people that spawn from this site. Many people already have, but we'll have to stop for today. Deviantart may have been the start for a ton of people, but it will never lose the stigma it had for having the strangest people to ever grace the internet on it. In a way, they themselves are art. And in the end, isn't that all that matters? This doesn't apply to borderline predators. God bless, like and subscribe, and good night. And remember, boys and girls, you can draw whatever you want, whenever you want, however you want, and you have your right as a human being to do so. But, that doesn't mean, we need to see it. Just saying. I'm out.